Welcome to Just the Beginning. Listen here, okay? I am so excited about this episode because if you don't know who Tim Bryant is yet, okay, here's your introduction. Get on all his socials right after this. You hear me? Because you are going to just be happy about it. And you're going to see why in just a second. I'm not, no spoilers, no spoilers. Hi, Tim.
Hello, Rashida. Thank you for the introduction.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for being here. Tim is a real life internet friend. And I'm going to say that there was a time in my life I didn't think that that was a real thing. Like, how can you just be like cool with people you have never shared space with? I don't understand what that is. But it's real. It's a real thing.
yes, it is a real thing. I gotta jump in right on that because
Do it.
I was not a big social media person for many years until I started. We'll get into that One Love Prison Meditation Project. But since that
Sure
time,
will.
I have just like my relationship with social media is just completely different because of the incredible people that I have connected with and met
Yeah.
and I love my online friends so much.
So I just think that we are part of a very dope group, and I'm just very grateful for it, for sure, for sure. Okay, so I want to talk about One Love in just 1 second. Before I
Okay.
do, though, I always start my interviews with asking my interviewee, "What is?" Are you ready?
Yes. I am
What?
leaning in.
I love
I don't ever do that move, but I just did.
I love it. I felt it. Okay, what is your definition of ally?
Oh, my definition of ally.
Mhm.
You know what my okay. So one of my highest visions of ally or like definitions of ally
Mhm.
is physically, emotionally, monetarily putting oneself in between somebody who is harming and the people and the person being harmed.
I love that. Ooh. What were the ways? Physically,
Physically,
emotionally,
emotionally,
financially.
financially,
Ooh. In the space in between.
in the space in between.
I have real life goosebumps, and I would not blow smoke up your behind like that. To tell you that I have realized goop. I love that. Yes, because you can. Because you can.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm gonna sit in that for a minute. I'm probably gonna bring that back up in a little bit. But while I'm sitting in that, because I want to make sure I'm not like fumbling all over my words because I'm feeling it more right now. But that was so good. That was so good. Um, Tim and I met because we are both a part of this group that is led by this incredible woman. You all have heard me talk about Simone Soul. I'm actually interviewing her soon for this channel. And Tim and I have had a chance to talk about his work there. And I think it's so important because when people think about allyship and different groups to ally for, it is rare that I, in my work, hear people who are imprisoned. And I think that it's so important that when we are thinking about all humans, we are truly thinking about all humans, even the humans that society deems the worst of us. All of us. And even if you want to do it like in a religious or whatever reasoning. Wasn't it like when Jesus was like, when you visited me when I was imprisoned, all of
Hmm.
that stuff, right?
Hmm.
And so I think this is a population of humans that it breaks my heart that are like discarded. And I love that you are bringing something so special to them. So, can you please tell our viewers about the work that you do?
Yes. So you touched on so many beautiful points there. Um, Angela Davis has that incredible statement that prisons do not disappear social problems, they disappear human beings.
Mm, yes.
And and we'll get into some of that. I want to talk about that a little bit to break that
Mhm.
down a little bit as part of our work. But in just the practical aspect, we bring in and I bring in meditation classes, 2 hour meditation classes, weekly and bi-weekly to several prisons in our area in Florida.
Mm,
And I was doing this for many, many years as just an avocation. And then I started One Love Prison Meditation Project 6 years ago as a nonprofit in order to do this instead of once a month, to do this as much as possible, right?
yeah.
And so we do about 12 classes a month and in several prisons. And the other thing that we started a couple years ago was connecting because I got connected to so many incredible people and coaches through Simone and through different
Mm.
networks. I ended up connecting people who are incarcerated with one-on-one with a coach for free that they would have to that they can communicate with. People do phone calls, people do email. They have tablets now that they're able to email and correspond with. So we pay for like the cost of like that because there is a cost for like
Mhm.
sending messages because they always try to take as much money as they
You
can from
know,
people
you
who are
know,
incarcerated. So
yes.
we cover so the coaches like cover that themselves and so we have like 60 coaches who are coaching one-on-one with people on the inside. And they're doing anything and everything, just being a resource, being a support, working through stuff, sending
Mhm.
books. Like, we try to do all sorts of things to just show up for them and be there for them, and let them know that they're not alone and that we got their back.
That is incredible. I think that oh my gosh, that's such amazing work for folks who don't feel seen and valued as humans. I worked in the HIV field for over 20 years, and a section of that time I would talk to women who were transitioning out. And I had, and then I also spoke to monthly women who were in county, who was like in the county jail, who were waiting to have their trial. And, you know, it working in that arena, I went in there. I literally had like braces and a ponytail, and I was like, I just want to change the world. I just want to help the world be a better place. And there's nothing wrong with that energy, right? But I didn't know. I didn't know. And so everything that I came in contact with, I was just like, and
Yeah.
one of the things that I value so much about that experience in my life is how human all of those women were. And I even saw somebody that I went to middle school with. She was like, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" And we just like chatted about life. Um, and there were some there were some things that they did in their lives that got them there, but it isn't the whole of the human. Like our behaviors aren't who we are. It is a behavior, right? And I didn't understand that as clearly as I did when I'm sitting in a room of ladies who are just like me, who just made a different decision than I did. And I just think that is such a gift to be able to be in those spaces the average person isn't able to be in, to see how incredible people who are living their lives in prison can be, you know?
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit more about like why did you start it as as like a thing that you were just doing just to do? Tell me what sort of drove you there.
I so social justice, anti-racism was a part of my life from a very early age. I grew up in a racist home, racist environment,
Hmm.
but I
You grow
began
up in
to
Florida?
I did. I grew up in
Okay.
Florida, yeah.
Hmm.
But I began to, I had some cooler people in my family too, but I just, began to, like many people with, I think, just, you see the cognitive dissonance between where I was raised and what I'm experiencing when I'm hanging out with people and I'm living life and I'm hearing stories and I'm listening to music and watching movies that are talking about and I'm learning history. I was actually reflecting recently about like one of my most memorable, I remember reading like Frederick Douglass in eighth grade because my brother, I had to do a report for like Black History Month. So I was reflecting, I was like, what do I remember Black History Month? Like, what's my memory of like Black History Month? And that's like was
Hmm.
like my first memory that I could think of. And I don't know what I was gonna do. And my brother was like, you should do it on like you should read this. You should read Frederick Douglass and do it on that. Because like that's, people don't do it. People don't normally talk about him or something, and
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
and so I remember I was reflecting on that, but I began to like, my eyes began to open up from my friendships and experiences. And for some reason, and I don't know why, it became an important part of my life growing up and being even in high school. When I went to college, I majored in sociology. I tried to major in other stuff,
Yeah, but it
but
was
I
where your
couldn't.
heart
But
was.
yeah, it was where my heart was
Yeah.
to just try to understand this ridiculousness that was going on
Yeah.
out here, And then, but it was after college that I had a, sort of, kind of life threw some curveballs at me and found myself in a lot of pain and anguish and personally and found meditation and found like spirituality in a different way because I
Hmm.
had grown up in the church, but I, of course, had many problems with the way people were talking and doing things. My joke was always, "You made Jesus sound like he's just from South Carolina." You know what I
Right.
mean? He sounds like he just sounds like the rest of y'all.
Right.
Like
Just
this,
real regular.
this, yeah. Just
Not God at all, but just like, oh
did you
boy.
say Reagan or did you say regular? I thought you
Just
said
regular, just like a regular dude. Just
yes,
like that.
yes.
He's not a
Well, you
God.
just sound
He's
like a
a God. He's
regular
like that.
bigoted, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a regular
Bigoted.
bigoted. Yeah, it's like, I'm like, this is weird. Like, he sounds just like you. Like, the way you're describing him. This is strange.
That's
Anyways,
weird.
but
And
anyways,
what's also weird is that if I read this here book, I don't hear him
yes,
say any of this stuff. Like,
yes.
where is this coming from? Yeah.
Totally, totally. One of my favorite things to do, I remember when I was in college and I remember I would just go through and read the red writing, and
Uh-huh.
like read like the red writing in the
Your
New
words, your
Testament or
ways.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll just be like, I'm not here. This sounds completely different. Anyways, but I got into meditation. And then what happened though is I did join, I was a part of this organization, like this spiritual organization that actually that had this history of bringing meditation into the prisons. And this was like many years ago, but it was very spiritual. It was it was Eastern philosophy, yoga philosophy, and things. And so I actually like kind of started doing basically that's basically it. They had this organization, and I was like, I heard it. Well, the first time I heard about it, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to go in and visit them. And the first time I went was in Folsom Prison in California. And
Mm.
it
Famous
was,
Folsom Prison.
yes, it was a wild experience. But when I was in that space and just looking everyone in the eyes and just, they were just like, thank you for being here. Like, thank you. Like, I remember one guy telling me at one point early on, he was like, I haven't gotten a letter. I haven't spoke to my family in 14 years. I haven't gotten a letter in 14 years. And the fact that like you are coming in here, in
Like
the
on purpose.
spirit, yeah. And also I want to say this, coming in with this attitude of love and acceptance and understanding and like not coming in with this thing of like y'all need to change or you need to be saved or
Yes.
you're bad and we need to fix like coming in just with this total like let's be here for you and for each other and let's
Mm-hmm.
share this space and let's talk about spirit and talk about what matters and talk about how to let them have that space to talk about what they're up against and how they're trying to deal with that and just
Mm-hmm.
it was just that was it and then I never stopped that was 20 years ago like when I first went in and just never stopped.
I love that. And I think that is such an important point in allyship because I think a lot of people come to it with the charity state of mind. And I say charity in a negative way because there is a lot of negative energy that comes with the charity state of mind, right? And it's like the I'm up here and you're down here, and oh, I'm so sorry for you, and let me give you these things, you poor little thing, and now I'm going to go back to my life while you are suffering, but you have, my Ugg boots from 3 years ago. So yay for us because I did a cool thing too today, right? And that is what charity feels like. And what you're describing is allyship is we are here. We are on the same level. We understand that there are systems around us that are made up and are meant to divide us. But what we understand is that we are all humans and we are here. And I just know a whole lot about this thing. So I'm going to share my surplus of knowledge with you about this thing. And I bet you know a whole bunch about something that I don't know about. And you're going to let me leave with something that I didn't know about too. And that is allyship. That is mutual aid. And that is how we're actually meant to interact with each other as humans. So I love that that is the energy that you go in there with and that they feel from you
Yes.
automatically.
Recently last year someone spoke up and was just saying we can tell when people come in here
Yeah.
and they're coming in here with that attitude, with that charity attitude where they're putting themselves above us. They're like, and that's the thing is like they are on the front lines in that place. They are on the front lines of white supremacy, of capitalism, of fighting for their humanity and their soul. And they're what that does to them, like it breaks people.
Yeah.
And but it also like people have like I don't, it's hard to describe because I'm not gonna like give it like a positive quality. There's nothing positive about it, but what I'm saying is there's a realness to it. Like people are fighting for their
Yeah.
life. Like this ain't no bullshit. Like we're
Right.
not gonna sit here and pontificate about a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right. We don't have time for that. Like this is
right.
where we have nothing else, no fluff. This is where we only have time to be real and
It's
authentic.
real.
It.
It's real. There's no code word. There's no buzzwords and like,
Right.
like,
Right. Yes. Yes.
like it is real and in your face and people are and so also like they know when people are full of like people know we all know but
We
like they
all
really know when
know.
people are full of
Yes.
shit. And
Right.
so that is the majority, like I've been in trainings with other volunteers who are like participating in a training to go in and they're like making fun of people on the inside. They're talking about like don't trust anybody, don't talk to anybody about anything personal, don't like this is literally like the
Yeah.
people that are going in to be helpful. This is
Right.
like
That's the and that's also part of their training. Like people who are working there, who are with them every day, are painting a picture of them that is subhuman.
right. Yes, and it's it's despicable and it's also but yes, but
But
to
also
show
keep that
up,
energy out of here. Like they already treat us like that. Okay. We have
yes,
extra people in here treating us like that. You can keep that shit at home. We don't need that. Thank you.
yes,
I
which is
would be I could feel that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I have a lot of people that come to our gatherings and they're like, man, I don't go to no other gatherings, and I'm not saying that like whatever, but they're like, I don't go to none of the other stuff because
I
it's
mean, and
all a
that
bunch of
really
BS.
does mean something, Tim, because being able to go to a gathering is some time away from the monotony and the all of the other stuff that comes with living in prison, right? And so being able to break that up, it should be a privilege, should be something that you look forward to because you don't have to do this other stuff. But if it is worse than the monotony, then what? That's terrible. That's terrible. And what is the point? And what is the point of you even coming if you can't make their lives better for the time that you're in there? Ugh, makes me
And you
angry.
know that I like to people listening and stuff too. It's like I want to, that going inside. It's like it matters so much, and it's like it matters on so many different levels, right? It's almost like if you just went in just to go, hey, what's up? Like, I'm thinking about y'all.
Yeah,
How's it going? Like
yeah,
that is
yeah.
like that is enough. Like that is enough because and then the other thing is like people don't know is like they often cannot gather together. Like they can't get like a lot of the places they can't gather together for meditation in a room by themselves. They can
Mhm.
only gather when a person from the outside comes in as like a sponsor and
Yeah,
then they can come, right?
yeah.
And so there's things like that. Like they don't even get to do that unless someone
You're and
comes
someone
in,
is there
right?
to help facilitate that or whatever.
And in some of our classes, like one in particular, people will, and I love it so much. And like shout out to the Nat Bishop because like in one of our classes, like people will like half the people will meditate, half the people will just straight rest. Like they'll just lay down and like take a
Mm-hmm.
nap and we'll put on music and we'll just
Mm-hmm.
like and that is like, like that's like they talk about that. They're like, we don't, you can't do this. You can't take a nap.
Yeah.
Like
There was something that you said one time that someone told you like this is the only place where it's quiet.
absolutely.
There's
That's that
noise all the
again. That's
time.
the whole other thing is if it was just that, yes, the noise of prison is almost, I have been in a few situations where I have been like very present with the noise. Sometimes I'm not because I don't have to go through, I'm like skirting on the outskirts of I'm not straight
Hmm.
up in the cell block or whatever. But there have been times where I have been in those situations and it's just unlike anything. It's I've never heard anything
It's like
like
this
it before.
constant sound.
Constant sound and people are like trying to communicate with other like it's just like one person is trying to communicate with this person while the other person in between is communicating with somebody behind them like it's just
Mm-hmm.
and then the buildings and then the guards and then the clanging and then even the stuff in there the fans or the buildings themselves are loud so even in the middle of the night it's not quiet
Quiet. Yeah. And
and so
so they
like
get to go to the space that you facilitate and just have quiet time.
one of the people said, "This is silence has become my new drug. I crave it. Like I crave this silence."
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, what keeps you going back or what what is it about the people who live the population of people who live in prison? How have they captured your heart?
That's such a, I feel like I guess the thing I just want people to, I think the thing is, and it's like I know people listening and watching know this, but then I think there's other people who are still like, yeah, but didn't they do something or whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And
Yeah.
it's like But it's like, here's the other thing that people don't know. Let me tell y'all a secret. Everybody's done something.
Right.
But but only some people are
Get
policed
caught.
and
Right,
get
right, right,
caught. Like,
right.
you know what I mean?
That's
And
exactly right.
and so I think that the thing is for me, it's just just like what I said earlier, like they're on the front lines, like fighting for their humanity
Mhm.
against this system. And so the power that they bring, like the wisdom that they bring, the beauty that they like, they're so beautiful and powerful. And yes, people got stuff going on, but that's the whole point. Everybody does,
Right,
right?
right. It doesn't
But
matter where you live.
these people are bearing the brunt. Like they're this fake face that says, if we lock this person up, that means we've done something
Right.
helpful to like whatever. Meanwhile, we're not addressing any of the issues that cause people to do anything. We're just saying
Exactly.
if we take one person and then torture them inside of a cage, we've
Then
done
we're
something
better.
as a society. We've done something as a society,
Yeah.
and that's not real. And when somebody is going through that and they are reaching for their own humanity in their heart, like it's the most, their hearts are so beautiful. And the way they stick together, the way they form alliances with each other, because
Hmm.
it's I recently had this experience where I met somebody. So this was incredible. I walked into this class a couple weeks ago and I saw this guy and I was like, I know this guy. And he was like, and then I walked up to him and he was there for our gathering and he was like, I know you. And he was like, he's like, you came and did meditation in a different prison. He's like, 10 years ago. And I was in that class and I was like, I remember you. But
Wow.
it was actually like more than 10, it was like 15 years ago because we started talking about the dates that he was at this prison. But we started talking, but one of the things we started talking about the people that were there at that time. And
Uh,
these were people that he had like helped build this like Buddhist Sangha with and stuff. And these are like dear friends that people make in prison, but then they get transferred away and he never gets to see them again. You don't ever get to talk to them again. You
mm,
don't know if they're alive or dead. You don't know anything
mm,
about this. And I was just reflecting on that for a second. Like, think about, it brings like tears to my eyes. Think about just building like survival, deep friendships with people.
yeah.
And then the next thing you know, they're gone and you don't get to know. You don't
From your
have
life.
any way.
Yeah.
And you got to do that over and over and over again to stay alive. And there's just a power and a beauty that of humanity that they have. It's really ironic, right? Because people have
Mm,
a view and it's actually like the opposite. Like that's
right. Right. No,
like I used to
truly.
say this thing a long time ago, and I don't say it anymore because I don't think it sounds that cool. But a long time ago, I used to say like that, like they're the best kept secret in society. Because, and again, I don't feel like that translates very well. That was like an
Right.
old
No, I
version of
get
me trying to
that.
say something.
Right.
But the energy of what I was trying to say is like the wisdom, the compassion, the spirituality, the depth, the like whatever. This all
Right.
present in this space and with these folks, and it's like but they're disappeared from us, and they're
Mhm.
labeled something. And it's like, yo,
Right.
this is like, it's so rich.
Right.
Their humanity is so full.
Yes. And are there scary folks there? Yep, probably, who have something going on
Yes.
besides just like a bad decision. Most likely. But we all know, like if we have been paying attention, that the prison system, especially in this country, isn't necessarily about rehabilitation. It is about making money. And especially finding out, like you know these things, but then when it comes to your consciousness, you're like, finding out about how like a lot of the volunteer firefighters in California were people who were imprisoned, right? But they go through all the training that the firefighters go through. They do all of the stuff that they are basically you know, with the training and the knowledge, firefighters, they go out and they get paid like 5.25 for a full day of putting out fires. And then when they're released from jail, because they were in jail, they can't even use those skills that they learned to be firefighters to get a job as a firefighter because they were imprisoned.
No, it's a racket. It's a racket. And it is
100%.
and it is a business. And you know that for all the reasons. You can follow the money, you can see it, but also you know it because we're not spending resources on preventing these things from
That's
happening.
right.
One of the things I hear from survivors of violence and things, whether and I think this is really powerful because this isn't about like going, oh, harm hasn't happened or something in
Right.
situations, but
Right,
it's
right, right.
saying how do we restore people, how do we care for people,
Yeah.
and also how do we, because that's the thing, like we're not actually taking care of survivors of violence, we're taking all of the resources and then torturing this person
Right.
and leaving survivors to
And leave
fend
it
for
like,
themselves.
all right, they're gone. Enjoy your life now. And they're like,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
not real. And I always think
no.
about, what if those resources were allocated where people in situations where harm was, like they had resources and things that they were available to get out of situations. People talk
Yeah.
about it all the time. I could get out. I would be able to leave this situation if I had the resources to, but we're not addressing that. We're not talking about that. And then of course, the thing that always comes up for me is like, oh, like, so many of these people there are survivors of terrible violence.
All
You hear
kinds of
these
stuff.
stories,
Right,
you hear
right.
these stories, and it's like, I mean, it's stories that don't even seem like real. And I've sat with so many people, and you hear their stories, and it's just like, how it's like it's just, it's like, just, it's how are they still alive, even,
Yeah.
from like their
Yes.
stories. And it's like, and so I've always been amazed about that, is that when we hear things happening to like young people, we're so like moved and horrified. But with that young person 5 years later, now they're a monster. And
Right.
it's like, how did they go from being this person that you were like felt so bad
Oh, poor
for
thing. Mm-hmm.
to now they're the monster? What
Mm-hmm.
happened during that time? What
Yeah.
happened prior to that time? What didn't happen was this community of care and
Yes.
support. Instead, we have this carceral system that pretends like it's doing something when it's actually just stealing our money and
Mm-hmm.
continuing to perpetuate trauma on people.
Right, right. And we treated that 5-year-old like a charity case, like, oh, poor kid, I'm gonna give you some books and a uniform for school. All right, bye. Good luck with life.
Yeah. Oh, you're mad now? You're 13 and you're mad?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, he's
19? You're
mad.
19 and you're mad?
And you're a little bit scary because you're bigger now and you have a bigger vocabulary to tell me about myself. Oh, I don't like that. Do you remember those books I gave you? Okay.
Every time I go to the store, I think about, like, just this today, I thought about, I was like at the store and I was thinking about how you can steal someone's 401k and it ain't no big thing. If you steal something from Walgreens or Publix, you in
Going to
trouble.
jail.
I know a guy who was serving 10, he was serving 4 years. Came to our class, incredible, just incredible person. He was serving 4 years for stealing $10 worth of stuff from Walmart. He had a record, so that was part of the thing that played into it. But that
Mhm.
don't fucking, I mean, give me a, you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
Like, but literally $10 from Walmart. He got
4
4 years.
years.
Now I understand that's not always the situation, but there are so many situations that you're just
Yeah,
like, this is ridiculous.
100%. 100%. So, okay, we are hopefully the folks that are watching are like, oh yeah, okay. They either came in knowing that people who live in prisons are humans, or now they're starting to see, oh, okay, maybe there's something I can do. What would you suggest? If someone's like, how do I help people who live in prison? Do I send stuff? Can I just show up and say I want to visit somebody? What can I do?
Okay, so there are a lot of great organizations out there that you could definitely support, like with your resources, first of all,
Mhm.
certainly, um, that are doing it. I was just reading about um, uh, the No Name Book Club that's sends like sends books to prisoners. There's a lot of organizations out there that send books and other resources. Um, so there's that, that you could do from wherever you're at, but also, um, so I just want to say about this going in piece that people are feeling. The thing is that I always imagine, like one of my visions when I started doing this and when I started doing it more full time was like, I want to I want to be leaving and somebody else is coming in, like with that same
Yeah.
spirit, as
Yeah.
opposed to I'm leaving and then I'm like, well, I'll see y'all next week.
Right.
And in between there's nobody really like, coming in. It's like I
Right.
think about my dream of just more and more people like going in
Hmm.
and offering whatever it is you offer, art, music,
Yes.
like any meditation, book study, anything, literally
Yes.
anything showing up for them.
You don't have
Um,
to invent a thing. It's just the thing you're
no,
already good at doing.
yes,
Yeah.
because people there will be like, that's what I'm into. I mean, obviously,
Right.
people don't come to our meditation class because they're like, I ain't trying to fuck with no meditation or whatever. I don't
Right.
want that.
Right.
And like, or they're like, I'm not, yeah. So the people come. That's the thing too, is nobody is like assigned, like it's voluntary. And I've always like kept it like that. I don't like it when they're just like I mean, they don't do
Forced to
that
do
much
something.
anymore, but they used to do that back in the day where they're just like force people to go to certain things. And it's
Hmm.
like, like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yes, like, but you could literally contact your local jail. They have every jail and prison has volunteer, federal, state has usually on their site. If you go to Department of Corrections for your state, they'll have like become a volunteer because they have some incentive to do that and stuff too. There's a little bit of like, I think even like I think there's, even not good, right? Like for them, there's something like, how it is with all this stuff. They look like,
Hmm.
oh, we're doing something, right? But if
Right.
you're somebody who actually is doing something and showing up like in
And it can be help.
solidarity,
It can
then
be
it can be
helpful.
very helpful. And so,
That, and you know what that is also? That is allyship, right? Because this system is doing something funky over here. Okay, I see you. I'm acknowledging your funk, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my privilege. I know this thing. I have this heart to give. I want to relate to folks. So you can go ahead and be funky over here and think that you're going to put these people down or try to, use this system to keep these people in a place where you want them to be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand in the gap, right?
yes,
And I'm going to
yes.
come in and I'm going to bring love and I'm going to bring this thing that I do really well. And I am going to have this interaction with these humans who are living in a different way than me, but it doesn't make it less valuable than me. So I'm going to share and they're going to share. And I'm actually going to walk out with more than what I felt like I came in with.
Mm. And there's so much great work happening with helping people when they return home, different organizations, people
Yeah.
gathering to like help people because returning home is
It's a
is
whole
it
thing.
is a whole thing. I mean, that's the whole, all of the rights that they do not have, the job situation, so like that's a little thing wherever you work, you could talk to, you if like you have any sort of influence on how we can hire people. There's been this movement, there's a movement called Ban the Box and stuff, which has been basically like to basically just take to not just to have like fair chance hiring, to like actually sit down with people and hear their stories and not just go, okay, they checked
Mm,
this box, so we're throwing this out. And so there's
yeah,
a movement happening more and more in terms of like helping people when they come home. And there's so much that people can do. um
I love that. That's a lot of really good resources for folks. Like there's websites, there's organizations that you can join. You started joining an organization,
yes.
and there's ways to volunteer. I think, I'm a little bit partial to the folks who were coming out because those were the people that I spoke to the most.
Mhm.
And I remember, after we got finished putting up all the condoms and because I showed them how to use condoms properly and all that kind of stuff, I remember them just saying like stuff like, hey, is that Church's Chicken still on the corner of so and so, so and so? And what is it like on this side of town now? And do you have an iPhone? I because that's back
Yes.
a few. Tell me, when I get out, I'm gonna get a phone. What kind of phone should I get? And it's
Yes.
man, I was like, I don't know. I just loved those conversations because I could be like, it was just us connecting as humans,
Yes.
And that is really just the long and the short of it. Like, we are doing so much battle within ourselves to remember or connect to our humanity and the fact that we we get to be here and we are enough. That I think because of that battle that we have, we forget to see that other people are having that exact same battle, but we can do that together. And it doesn't have to be a battle. It can be we are just working this out together. We're figuring it out together. It doesn't have to be, don't have to be this brilliant, you know,
Hmm.
a philanthropist person that goes in and changes the lives of everyone. Just having a sit down conversation about this TV show that they don't get, and these cool characters that are on this show, and but I think it might be based off a book, so let me see if we can find the book so you can at least find out about it, like that kind of stuff is. For me, that was my favorite part. Like, yeah, I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna tell you about condoms, and let me tell you what STDs are rampant in Indianapolis right now because I want y'all to avoid that stuff, okay?
Yes.
And this is how we avoid that stuff. But in the meantime, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. Like,
Right.
I'll have a mother in there who's like, "Well, I don't know if I'm doing that, but my daughter is 16, and when I get out of here, I'm giving all these condoms to her, and I'm gonna tell her about that syphilis." And I'm like, "Okay, girl, you tell her about that syphilis, okay?"
Yes, so just last week I went, I was at our gathering and this guy was talking about, it was actually so interesting. I started talking about something and then I kind of stopped myself. Like, I don't know. I was just like, well, okay, well, we could talk. And then he was like, no, like, keep talking about this. Like, we don't get to talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it was like just like shit from the outside. And that's something, one of the guys said, I always thought this was like one of the most special things that he would say. He said, this is the closest thing to the outside that I've experienced in prison is the way we come together, the way we gather, the way we talk, the way we laugh, the way that, like it's not, there's nothing oppressive, it's not.
Mhm.
And think about their only interactions are with guards or each other.
Other,
And
yeah.
each other, they got their back, but they're all still inside. So they don't really
Mhm.
have, they don't
They
have
all
this
had that same perspective. Like, they had the
yes.
same limited view.
Yes, and they're also trying to like, they might have their people, but they're constantly trying. I mean, it's like, it's just, I don't, it's like so hard to even fathom. Like, imagine just being in a room with four people you love and 50 people you hate.
Yep.
And like, and you gotta lit like, and it's like, but everybody's got their four, and here's got this four, but because it's just this mass of people, and it's
Mhm.
like again, it's like stuff that's hard to even like contemplate and understand. But what he was talking about, like he was like, that's why I get so like mad about Saturday, like why he like is so mad about like or fights to watch Saturday Night Live. He's like, I always like not fight, but like he like whatever. He's like real
Yeah.
serious about watching Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And people want to watch maybe like a show, like a TV show or some other thing. But he's like, I want to watch Saturday Night Live because I want to know What's
What's
going
happening
on
right now?
now? What are the
Hmm.
jokes they're talking about now? What is the fashion now? What is the music
That
now?
makes so
Because
much
he has
sense.
no
Yeah.
access to any of that. And I was like, damn, like when he said that about like Saturday Night, and he was even saying, I don't even agree with all the like politics necessarily because he might be
Right,
slightly
right.
like kind of more conservative or something, I don't know
Yeah.
exactly. But he was like, but that doesn't matter. I want to know like
What
what's
people are
going
talking about.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that perspective so much because I think that just will help folks see how they can be an ally even in this space. A true ally that's standing in between ally and not the charity ally. Oof.
I think that's beautiful about it too is that, and like to share with people is that like it's about you coming in. It's not about you being good at something, you bring in like it's about your heart, your humanity. The rest works itself out,
That's
And
it.
there's something that's really pure about that.
Hmm.
Um, and I just want to just a shameless plug. One of the things that I committed to this year was creating a space for people that want to go inside. So creating a little gathering, training, something. I mean, I'm not, I always like try to find different words that feel better to me. But for lack
Hmm.
of having found one yet, I'm gonna call
Hmm.
it like a training, but just
Okay.
like a couple day thing or a couple evenings where we come together and talk about like what it means to go inside. And I'm gonna have a couple speakers. I have somebody who was inside and like what it meant to him to have somebody come. It
Yeah.
wasn't me. It was actually somebody else that came and did a meditation class actually in his prison. And also somebody else, Onika Mays, who taught meditation and other things at Rikers jail for many years. Like she's gonna like
Mm.
share. And so I'm in the process of putting this together to really inspire people to go in wherever they're at around the
I
country and
love
around the world.
that.
So reach out to me because that will or and follow because that will be happening, in the next few months.
100%. So Tim's information is going to be in the, what is that? Like the information part that's under here. I'm not technically savvy. Everyone, I have people who help me with that and they are brilliant and I am good at having conversations. So
The
down in this,
paragraph underneath the video.
you look down there, you'll find Tim stuff and absolutely follow him. Be on his radar so that you can find out how you can help with this incredible population that society deems unworthy. But we know the difference. We know that that isn't true. We know that we are all worthy. And we're going to do what everything that we can inside of our own gifts to be an ally for this very special population. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Tim. This was fun. This hour went like
I cannot believe that
so
this is an hour. I know. This was really special.
so
Really
fun.
special.
Thank you so much. I mean, and I tell all of my guests this, and I'm not even, when I say this, I'm not lying. I'm saying the true thing that I feel in my heart. I'm likely going to have you back because I just think there's so much more to talk about.
Hmm.
Um, and that's why I call the show just the beginning because this is just this top. Like this is just the beginning. There's so much more to do, and I can't wait to talk about it some more with you and in this space. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. And on behalf of, all the beautiful souls inside, like I know they thank you for highlighting, their lives
Oh,
and yeah. And I
awesome.
really look forward to connecting with anybody. Anybody, please feel free to reach out. I would love to
Down there
connect.
in that section of the part of the screen.
Thank you, Rashida, for all that you
Thank you.
do.
This is just the beginning. Come
That's
back next time where we're going to talk about more ally shit. Talk to you later.